What's up, everybody? Thralls Metal here once again. I'm Necrotic Nick.
I'm Jammin John.
And we have an album review for you. So, again, a bunch of stuff coming out this week, and we're trying to touch on a whole bunch of it, and we have some fun underground filth here. So we're going to go over the latest offering from Acephalix with Theothanatology, which I know, that word sounds like it's pregnant with other words, but it's actually the study of the death of God, or something. I don't know.
It's the belief that God is dead.
Okay. But it's an ology, so it's a study of.
It's theology, so right. It's the philosophical discussions of whether or not God is dead.
I'm going to go back to not caring. This also comes out on the 30th of September on 20 Bucks Spin. It's been formed in 2007 in San Francisco. This is their fourth album overall. Now, this band started off as more of a crust punk meets death metal act when they first debuted, and then slowly morphed into more of just a straightforward old school death metal project. This also features current and ex-members of bands like Vastum, Chthonic Deity, and, to my surprise, the Electric Hellfire Club, which I didn't think I would bring up on this channel. But yeah, weird old school goth industrial band. There is an ex-member of that band in here, which is kind of wild. Now, I've been a fan of this band since their second album, Deathless Master. I just like their old school, just gritty, disgusting, vibe to it. I really like their last one, Decreation, too. I thought it was a really solid album. And I was really curious what this one was going to sound like because, again, they have different roots where they started, but they kind of morphed into something slightly different. But that sort of crustiness has always been a part of them. So this, getting into it right away, you kind of realize that this is kind of like the halfway point between sort of death metal and like there's definitely some fierce crust punk, hardcore roots to this too.
Yeah, a little bit of brutal death metal.
A little bit.
Yeah. First of all, I want to talk about the production right off the bat. I really like the guitars on this record. Big, beefy, chunky guitars. There's that grime and filth aspect to the overall sound, but it's really clear at the same time. The drums stand out well. Everything is mixed in together well. It works.
And it's kind of cool that we get to bring up someone from Autopsy once again with Greg Wilkinson. He actually did the production on this, and we've gone over 2 albums now, I believe, that he did the production on, and so far, doing really well.
Good job, Greg. Pretty much this record, for me, I think described in a nutshell is just OSDM simplicity. Songs like the opening track, Theothanatologist, and Postmortem Punishment. I mean, really just open up with some chuggy grossness and a D-beat. Postmortem Punishment especially, you do get a pretty sick, like, stomper groove in the beginning. But again, that's basically a microcosm of what this entire record is. Just stomper riffs and caveman grunts. And
fiercely rooted to, again, bands like Autopsy, I would say Jungle Rot, Massacre. Yep. Like, it just has that old school aesthetic where it's like, hey, let's find a fucking riff. Let's see if we can get this pit churning. There's a lot of D beats on here. That's, kind of like the high-speed circle pit rhythm right there. Yeah. Good amount of groove, occasional blast beats. You occasionally get some, like, atmospheric moments, but this is mostly just about, the riff and the chug. And everything is kind of, like, I would say, simplified, no frills, even down to, like, the runtime. This is only about, like, 31 minutes, and almost every track, except for the last track, is around the 3-minute and 30 mark, like, down to the nose.
Yeah.
And, I don't know, like, everything just feels very stripped down to its very bare essentials. I like it.
I do too.
All of it kind of, just has this old school embodiment, and there are some really fun tracks in here. I really like Abyssal. This opening to it is very, I don't know, just kind of evil and sinister sounding, and then there's this fun little play on the verses where it goes from blast beats, and they're kind of, growling along with it, and then you get this nice little groovy break in between that kind of just pivots back and forth. And there's some fun vocal stuff in here, like pivoting between 2 vocal styles and like godheads.
Yep, they've got this left to right pan where it's ooh, ah. But I mean, it's really noticeable. I can see where that would translate into something fun live.
Yeah. And, the whole album is energetic. Like, honestly, at no point here was there like a lull in the energy. Like, all of this kind of feels just, made for a live show. Like, that is, the main thing to just get people moving. And you also get nods to other stuff that is fiercely old school and, again, like, very meat and potatoes. The opening to Abyssal is almost kind of death and roll. Like, it kind of reminds me of, like, Entombed circa Wolverine Blues. Just sort of a more rock riff, but it's just played with, death metal intensity. The rhythm itself that opens it up is more of just like a high energy rock rhythm before it goes into the D beat, which, believe me, the D beat is the beat on here.
Yes, you like D beat? That's what this is. Predominantly D beat.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, it's a fun rhythm.
It's a lot of D beat. Like, this would be like the perfect album to like go for a jog in the morning, but you're wearing a zombie costume.
Yeah.
Yeah. D beat. Yeah.
Delivering out some postmortem punishment right there.
Ooh.
Ah.
Sick.
Actually, I had a different joke for that because I thought about, like, you know, what was it, Critical Bill and fucking Things to Do in Denver When You're Dead, where he's just beating the shit out of a corpse.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's postmortem punishment right there.
I'll take it.
And, you know, hey, it's refreshing to make a reference to beating up a corpse rather than fucking it for once, because that seems like there's a good amount of death metal that talks about that. Hey, sometimes you just gotta go home and crack open a cold one.
Yep.
Now, inevitably, I end up comparing this album to their last album. And their last album, again, a little bit more variety, a little bit more tempo shifts. There was definitely more of like a death doom vibe in some of the songs in there. This just really stays the course. And I like how, like, just forward driven it is. Like, this album is a straight road that just goes through probably the playing states. There are no, you know, big turns in there, except for maybe, you know, the last track, A Theonomist, which actually does something I would have liked to have heard more on here. It builds the song rather than kind of like getting to, you know, the next big D beat section. This song sticks the groove for a while. Like, it lays on that bolt thrower obituary groove. The riff that carries it is absolutely sick, which isn't as though like all these riffs are sick. They really are. But this one stands out because it kind of lays on this groove. There's a little bit more atmosphere to it. In fact, the opening bit has a whisper in the background, which I instantly thought of the animated Headless Horseman Disney thing where the frogs are saying Ichabod.
Oh, yeah.
But
Ooh, I'm going to watch that tonight.
I know, it kind of adds some extra atmosphere to it, and they stay on this, and it kind of keeps building, like it gets heavier. And there's this nice, long, you know, feedback section where they have a preacher speaking in the background, which he kicks off the show, too, on the opening track.
Yeah.
But then it gets into, like, I would say almost like a Slayer-ish fucking thrashy section. I was like, that's a good way to build into that, because a lot of these songs are just very abrupt. You know, there's very minimal song building on here. It's mostly just about, like, what's the next crushing riff.
Right. Chuggy riff, D-beat. Chuggy riff, D-beat. Yeah, there's a lot of that. Yeah, in Atheonomist and even in Defecated Spirit, too, where they take the beat and then they halftime it. They drop the D beat and then it gets into this really nasty groove, and then you get like brutal death metal breakdowns at the end. And
yeah, that song actually had the Mortician bounce to it.
Yeah.
You know, just a single chug going dun 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 dun. You know, I mean, it's kind of fun, and it was at least like a little bit of variety in here because this really sticks hard to a very particular formula.
Yep.
And it isn't as though that formula has worn out its welcome, because this is a good chunk of the shit we go over, and a lot of it still really resonates with me. But having songs like Defecated Spirit, which I think that's what happens when you exorcise a demon and it has to leave through your butthole. That might be it.
Well, yeah, South Park proved that when you die, you shit your pants. So in this case, that's what's happening. It's right after the death, and then you shit your pants, and then the spirit comes out.
And now we're educational programming.
Yep, you're welcome.
But the fact that that song opens up with almost kind of a more old school brutal death metal sound, and then Innards of Divinity, which I guess that's like a priest's pancreas or something, that starts off very doomy. And again, it kind of sets a mood, but eventually, like, this album has a gear and it wants to get to it. I like hearing them kind of take their time getting to said gear, though. That's what that last track really resonated with me, probably more than most of this. But at the same time, none of it was bad. Like, I enjoyed the listen. It is an efficient half an hour of just old school death metal. And, I mean, ultimately, it's fucking fun. I do like the added creepy whispers and spoken word in the background, because we kept looking at
There's a lot of it. You're just like,
did he?
What? What?
Is the studio haunted? And they just like, we can't get rid of these EVPs. Just throw some fucking reverb on it and put it out. It'll be fine. We won't have to pay this member because he's dead.
Could be.
Yeah, and I mean, I gotta give him props on this album cover, because that's like one of those. I don't know what's going on there.
I don't.
It's creepy.
I don't know if I like it.
it's I don't know, like I don't quite get it. Like I think those two people are connected by a fungal infection, and they have a hula hoop with ball bearings, and that's the story. That's all I got. But I mean, overall, I dig this album. Like it's a fun listen. This is just old school death metal.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's riffy. It's heavy. And overall, I'm gonna give it 3 stars. I think this is pretty good. Like, I didn't hate a single track on here. It kept moving.
Yep.
There really is no wasted time on here. It does go to the D beat well rather often. And I suppose when they were visiting the well, that's where they heard the creepy ghost speaking at the bottom of it. But, you know, that's the one thing, like, it kind of gets repetitious. Like, by the time you've heard, like, the first 3 or 4 tracks, you've kind of heard almost everything that's going to be on here. They do vary it up occasionally with, like, some more doomy riffs, blast beats, but most of it really sticks to its guns. But those guns still fire some pretty fucking nasty bullets, so I can't really knock it too much. This is a fun listen. If you like shit like Autopsy, Bolt Thrower, again, Massacre, shit like that, you're probably going to dig this. Check it out.
I, too, share the sentiment here. It's definitely a 3 for me. It's a fun listen. It really is. While it may be a little bit simplistic, some old school death metal is really simplistic, and that's part of its charm. Look at Bolt Thrower, Jungle Rot, things like that, where there's not a whole lot going on, but it's just a good time, and that's kind of what it is here. Yes, it does go to the well quite often. You know, if you're looking for crazy technical drums, you're not going to find it here, but you are going to find a band having fun, and that's really a lot of what the point of music is. You're supposed to be having fucking fun, and these guys definitely sound like they're having fun. The vocals, I think, even at times are a little bit theatrical, and why the hell not? And the whisper in the background, you brought up the frogs in the animated Headless Horseman thing, and I think I am going to watch that tonight just because I love that.
It's still awesome.
That cartoon anyway. It's definitely a headbanger, but it's nothing spectacular. It plays into a box, but who cares? They can write riffs. It's a good time. It's not the greatest thing I've ever heard, but it's definitely not the worst thing I've ever heard. And it's a pretty good time to listen to. So 3 for me. If you want a good record just to kind of sit back and relax and bob your head to and have fun and enjoy some, you know, heavy riffs and do some jogging, you know, this is it.
I thought that was dancing. You can do that too.
This would be a dance. This would be a dance.
Showing off like all
that
your
would be
moves.
a dance. Yeah.
Oh my god.
That's all I've got, but that's a dance.
This dude shakes dice way too much. So, if you enjoyed this review, give it a thumbs up, and if you are new to the channel, subscribe, because we do stuff like this all the time. We are also on Patreon. If you'd like to help us out there, there is a link down below to thrallsmetal.com where there is a link to our Patreon, but there's also stuff there to check out, like our shirts. We have episodes made in podcast form, so you can just listen to them, so you don't have to look at us, which I'm pretty sure...
I get.
You know, that's a good thing.
I get it. You're welcome. You're welcome, TV land. Yep. You don't want to see this?
I don't want to see
blame
this.
you. I don't want to see that. I have to look at that all the fucking time. I fucking hate it.
He's envious of the beard.
Shut up. Here, look at this. Look at this. We've got a record here going of at least 1,500 hairs.
Wow, dude, I beat that record when I was 17.
Right there, bud. Last but not least, here we are in Thank You Land again, where we get all awkward and smile at you kind of goofy and say from the bottom of our black little hearts, thank you. Thank you for continuing your patronage here to Thralls of Metal, and for continuing to follow us and watch all of our videos and comment. I really don't get it. I don't. But thank you for continuing to show up. This is definitely tons of fun for us. It's become, you know, once again, a big part of our lives, something that I genuinely look forward to. You know, here it is, Thursday and Friday night, Thralls. Yeah, no, this is what I do.
Yeah.
This is what we do, and we will keep doing it. We have tons more to come, but yes, thank you, and you, and you, and definitely you. Yep, thank you.
You better just watch out, lock your doors, because he might be thanking you from, like, outside your window.
I don't know where you live.
Yet.
And
with that, because I can't have anything else more awkward than that last bit, I'm just going to thank you one more time, and we will catch you later.